Hey there, welcome back. Today's video is on health related topics. I have different things that I will talk about, and I will leave probably in the description down below the timestamps or the time descriptions of the different topics so you can go forward as well. So today I want to talk about, for example, Optic Pit, which is a really rare malformation in the eye that I had or have. Then my experience with AVNRT, which is a heart condition, and my experience with the health system and how it is as a woman to have things that are complicated and not easy to find. And my issues with my immune system. So now, not in this order, but I wanted to start with first my experience as a woman with health conditions, because this relates back then right into my story with my eye. In general, I have experienced and have seen in others that it is very hard in our world, even though you would not believe that it is still like this in our world today, as a woman to be treated well by doctors, in the sense of first getting taken seriously, them helping you actually and not blaming you or putting in your fault, not writing it off as this is so typical for women. There has been a lot of talk about endometriosis and how women really suffer so much until someone finds out that they have something like this, and finally there's an answer to their suffering. But I have had my fair share of experiences with this. For example, coming to the first topic, Optic Pit. It is a very rare condition for the eyes. I will also tag it below because it's so rare that people don't know how to treat it, and there are very few people who have it, and it's very helpful for anyone to hear someone else have it. So I was diagnosed with that 10 years ago, and in these 10 years I've had 3 people from various parts of the world reach out to me because of an Instagram post I did back then where it was being treated. And from back then, even now today, like last week, I had a person contact me. I think it is incredible. I'm so happy that people actually reach out to me and that I can help them, or at least share my experience and what helped me. Called Optic Pit. So it's basically like a malformation in the eye next to the optic nerve, like a hole next to the optic nerve, which is super rare. And what happens is that liquid leaks into the retina, so it kind of starts to swell and detach, and the nerves get damaged. So this actually in the end leads to blindness. And I have it on both eyes, but only the left one had the fluid leaking. There are a lot of different ideas how to treat it. For example, with medicine, something that can absorb this fluid, like surgery, like putting basically like a pillow, like a balloon into your eye that fills up and then presses the retina together and pushes out the fluid and like puts a pressure in there. This is a crazy thing to do. Oh my god, I could not have imagined someone putting this into my eye. So the risks are so high that you lose your eyesight. It's incredible. And then what they did with me was to laser it. But the story goes as this. So I had this issue with my eyes. I went to the ophthalmologist, and they always do this testing of how good you can see on one or the other eye. And I saw that I couldn't see well on my left eye, like in the center of my vision field. And the doctor said, oh, this is normal for women. They sometimes have circulatory issues. And then he sent me home. A year later, I was drinking out of a glass, looking over onto a sheet of paper which had text written on it. And I looked onto this sheet of paper and I couldn't see the text. It was just white. Basically, my brain had compensated what it couldn't see for the background color that was there. The only thing I could see was white instead of a white sheet of paper with black writing on it. So we went to the doctor, and This time was a female doctor, and it sounds so ridiculous in today's time. I would not have believed it if I hadn't been through this many times and have seen others go through this many times, but sometimes it's really hard to be taken seriously, especially by male doctors. And it took female doctors to help me. So she saw that something was wrong. She sent me to a different, also female doctor in a different practice, who had a machine that could take the imagery that they needed to see my retina. Then they sent me right away to the hospital. So everything went really, really fast. Within like a few hours, I went from one practice to the next, went to the Charité in Berlin, where they have like all the good machines to do all kinds of testing. And because it's so rare, they didn't know what to do. So luckily, I was really, really lucky, because on that day started in Berlin the conference of all the specialists for retina. Like, you wouldn't believe. What a coincidence. My grandpa does a lot of work with eyes. Another story, but he called into this conference and asked if there was someone who knows about this issue. And actually there was a doctor who at least had written his PhD thesis and his habilitation on this topic. So he had a theory how to treat this. It is this rare. Like, he has, I think, in a year, like 3 cases or so that from the whole of Germany come to him. We went right away to his practice in Bremen. He lasered my eye. So what he did was a really difficult procedure, because he had to laser like 50 dots. He basically had to burn my retina next to my optic nerve, which is very sensitive to do that, because it's so close to the optic nerve that if anything goes wrong, you cannot see. And it worked, luckily. So what happens is they burn these dots into the retina. Then the theory is that because it's burned, it will create scar tissue, and this scar tissue will seal. So it's around the hole, like a half moon around the hole, or a half circle. And it will seal that there will be no more leakage of any fluid. And this is what happened. So my body healed, it's created scar tissue, and it took about 3 years for my body to absorb the fluid that was already in my retina. It worked. Obviously, once the nerves in the retina are broken, it's very hard for them to come back. So they say, no, they won't come back, and the vision won't come back. But I feel like it's at least better than it was before the procedure. So for anyone out there who has issues with an optic pit, I can only recommend this type of treatment, and also the doctor that I've been to. So if you have this issue, and if you need me to send you the contact of the doctor who did my procedure, I'm very happy to send it to you. So coming back to the topic, as a woman with health issues, even if you, whatever you have, like, it doesn't even have to be that complicated, but oftentimes you would just be sent home with painkillers. So this is what happens a lot. Another story, for example, my sister, is that she was just standing and falling onto the ground because she fainted, hit her head. She had a lot of pain and was vomiting and all those things. And I made her go and have an MRI, and they couldn't see anything there, but this pain wouldn't go away. So we decided to go to the hospital. It was a very severe pain, and it was such a interesting experience again, where the doctors were literally making fun of her, because they said nothing can happen falling just by standing, like nothing severe can happen. And they were making fun of her, that they can give her the best anti-pain medicine drugs, that she will have some grade of high trip and so on. Really unprofessional, I would say. We were shocked. We were really shocked. And then when we made them do a CT scan of her head, they saw that actually she had broken her skull. And then they were a little bit more quiet and taking her seriously with her pain. But it's incredible how much it takes for women to get like taken seriously. And I just wanted to share this from my experience, because I know that it is hard, and I just wanted to let you know that if you have a gut feeling, trust that and just keep looking, because you will find someone who can help you. So the second topic that I wanted to talk about is my experience with AVNRT, or in German AVNRT. So it is a heart condition. They explained to me it's like this, that people have like 2 wires in the heart to send an impulse, and in people who get this tachycardia, the impulse is led through the second wire, so it kind of like jumps in between the 2 chambers of the heart, so it kind of gets stuck, and it's really, really fast. The heart beats in the sinus rhythm, but just way, way, way too fast, and it feels like your blood is not circulating anymore. And my experience with this I wanted to talk about a little bit. It is a little bit spooky. Your heart just, it feels like it jumps, and then it just starts to beat really fast. It's very noticeable. You can see it beating, and it goes like from 160 beats per minute to like 220, and you can't really do much when in that state. Like after half an hour, it's really hard to move. After an hour, you can't really even talk anymore. What works for me is I do this maneuver where I lay down flat, and then I just blow basically into my hand. The doctors, they also give you like a kind of a syringe to blow into this, but I think it's enough if I blow against like my finger. I do this as hard as I can. What happens then is there's like pressure being made, so the heartbeat goes up really, really, really fast, like 220 as I said, and then it feels like you're almost going to faint. And then normally what I do is I inhale, and then I exhale, and then this is where kind of like my normal rhythm sets in. So not when I press, but afterwards when I let go, my heartbeat accelerates, and then it slows down with my breathing. Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then I need to call a doctor. And they give me a medicine intravenously, and it's very painful. Feels like a fireball going through your body, and makes your heart stop, and then it sets in again. There is like a treatment for it that they keep on telling me that I should do, which is called ablation, where they like put a wire from your groin area up to your heart, and then they check where the wire is by like putting impulses there, making the heart go into tachycardia, and then they burn away or freeze away this extra wire. So my gut feeling for now has said that I shouldn't do this, because I have so many issues with my immune system, and the thing with my heart is I get this only if I don't feel well. So for example, if I'm really tired, or if I feel sick, or if I feel exhausted, and this is kind of when this happens. I just find it very strange, like why should I have all those other things, and then on top also the heart issue being something separate. The cardiologists, they'll say like, oh yeah, it's really easy, it's very safe, and it goes like right, like 95% of the time. Yesterday I was talking to my rheumatologist, and she said that, oh, it doesn't work in 35% of the cases. I thought this is very strange, because I was telling her that the other day when I had to go to the hospital for it, like a few weeks ago, I met someone who also had this ablation done, and he said that it didn't really work for him, that his heart was still palpitating weirdly. And then I read about it a bit more, and supposedly the heart regenerates like every 5 years, and then the wire can grow back. So I thought, okay, why would I risk doing this procedure that could end up in me having a pacemaker if it's not really yet so sure that this will be actually working? So my gut just said no, maybe first I go and think about treating all my other immune issues, and then maybe my heart will stop having these symptoms. But if you've had this and you have dealt with it successfully, you can write me in the comments down below, because I'm very curious to hear. I don't really know anyone personally who has the same issue, and it is a little bit inconvenient, especially if you are, for example, in someone else's place, and then you just randomly have to lay on the floor and kind of explain to them that you have a heart issue. It's not the nicest thing. So for me, I don't really know how to solve it yet, besides doing the maneuver. If you have recommendations, I'm very happy about it. And sorry about how I sound. Every time the sun comes out, I have to sneeze. As I said, and this is part of this video, is I have issues with my immune system. And one of the things that have been happening this year is that I'm starting to become photosensitive. I've always had that when like the sunshine comes out, I have to sneeze. Now also the sun is starting to burn on my skin, like it actually hurts. So I kind of have to use always like a 50 sunscreen. Yeah, that's why I sound a little bit like with a stuffy nose. I wanted to pick up on the two things of my experience as a woman with doctors and health issues, and the other one just in general with my immune system. I've had this very long journey, as I said, with my health, where I lost my mobility, and it has been very, very hard to find doctors to help me. And now I found a bunch of female doctors who have no idea. It's insane what a difference it makes. Like, I went to a male rheumatologist, and because in like the normal blood work that they do, they couldn't see anything. He said, no, you're fine, just go home, take painkillers. I went to the female rheumatologist, and with the same things, she said, let's do further testing for things that are outside of like the normal range that they were really looking for. Just having this, like, oh my god, it's such a difference. So one of the things I have is I get a lot of pain in my body, muscular pain. That's also why the method that I created is really about moving smartly and in a way that doesn't damage your body. So for example, if I was to go into a gym to kind of burn my muscles to have them grow, because that's the theory behind that you have to like damage your muscles for them to grow bigger and stronger. If I do that, my muscles break down, so it's really, really painful. And every time when I just get close to this burn, they will just damage, and then I cannot use them. They're really painful for like 3-4 weeks. And if I do this really like extensively, like for example, I did a teacher training for bar, which is this mix of Pilates, yoga, ballet movements, but they do these like small minimal movements for like long lean muscle tone and all those things, and it's repetitive and with like light weights, but the idea is that you burn your muscles. So I did this teacher training. After day 2, I was starting to get a fever. My body was so sore. It took like 4 weeks, I think, for it to heal, and I had a full-on fever without a cold. So it was really just my body reacting to the stress, like to the damage that was done. You saw some of my videos. I'm very interested in movement and interested in healing movement, as in trying to get back your mobility by learning about how to move well, how to get to know your body, what you are able to do, and how you can expand the ability. That's why I kind of got away from the idea of yoga some years ago. And so in my classes, especially in my private classes, I focus much more on like physical well-being, on how to move in a way that is good for you, that is smart, rather than a yoga flow or poses and so on. I do use the yoga form, but also use other forms, as in like the human form, for example, walking, sitting, standing, picking something up, or the Tai Chi form, or the Qigong form, and so on. Yeah, so part of my long journey has been obviously learning about movement and getting my mobility back. I have a lot of pain, muscular pain and tendon pain, which is triggered by, for example, cold, and it doesn't even have to be that cold, like 17 degrees Celsius is enough, or if it rains, starting to ache, or if I eat something that like irritates my body, for example, something spicy, something fermented, something that has preservatives in it that is not fresh. My body starts to ache, my muscles ache, they start to twitch, like in my face, in my legs. To me it's very strange now that I know a little bit more about how everything connects. It's easier to understand. It's also the reason why I haven't done many movement flow videos in the past few months, because I have not been feeling that well. I did a long trip to Argentina with a long haul flight and with like time change, temperature change, a lot of not so fresh food, so altitude change, like all kinds of things, and I got really sick. And my immune system reacted, I got bruises in my whole body, petechia, and a lot of pain in my body, and I looked like death. Like really. Circles under my eyes, very pale. Like even though we've been eating out every day 3 times with like 3 to 7 courses, and everyone gained weight, I lost weight, so my body was just really burning to heal. It doesn't come very naturally to do a video on how to be well if you're not looking like it. I uploaded some older videos the past week or weeks. I hope you enjoy them though. I wanted to share my experience, and it is very interesting because I have been working with female doctors after the male ones have been sending me back with just take painkillers as a recommendation or as a treatment, and they are really kind to the female doctors because they see that something is wrong with me, even though like the normal blood work, like the standard checks for autoimmune disease and so on, have not been very definite. Like there have been some things, but it's not very definite. And they have been very kind, go on the search with me. I just wanted to share my experience because it is really tough, emotionally, mentally, physically tough when you don't feel well and you don't know what you have. The doctors have been very helpful, telling me, okay, it's something with the immune system, they just have to narrow it down a little bit more. So that was the reason why I haven't uploaded that many videos in the last few months. I'm just here to share experience right now because I don't have that many answers yet. I just have ways to cope with it, and my most effective way to cope with it has been laying down on the sofa and sleeping and eating, so baby lifestyle basically. And cortisol, if you have your experience, please let me know, I'm so curious. This has been helping me a lot, sleeping, eating, and soft movements. So if I can, I move always to the extent that I can, because it does help so much. If you just sit on the sofa all day long, it's depressing. The interesting thing about this is I've been just working a lot on movement with people who also have issues with their health and how to just get better. And I've learned a lot, and I've been like working a lot on new formats, like how I can bring this topic into different types of workshops. And my retreats have been much more focused on really moving, relaxing, enjoying. So they're less and less like the typical kind of yoga retreat that you would go to, but more, well, something really magical. I mean, out of like lemons you can make lemonade, right? So that's kind of what I have been doing. So working, trying to make something like beautiful come out of my not so nice experiences.